Hey, welcome to Unperturbed, the podcast where high-achieving Black women come to take off their strong Black woman cape. You know, the one that keeps them people-pleasing, overgiving, and putting themselves dead last. Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. On Unperturbed, we're empowering you to put you first, unapologetically and boldly, so you can show up for yourself the same way you've been showing up for everyone else. This is where empty vessels get refilled. So look, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel, share it with your sister friends who are running around with empty cups too, and then come kick it with us inside The Haven, our private Facebook community where we go even deeper. Trust me, you need this space. Head on over to enterthehaven.net to join us. All right, it's time for the best part. Let's get into it. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Dr. Rhonda. Welcome back to another episode of Unperturbed. Listen, I am here with my esteemed colleague and friend, Dawn Christain, and I cannot wait for y'all to meet her because we're about to have, she just said something just before we came on, and I was like, ooh, I can't wait to talk about that. So I'm so excited to have you here, Dawn. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. You know, anywhere you are, Dr. Rhonda, is a place that folks want to show up. If you ain't there yet, you need to hurry up and get there. It always feels like the intersection of a warm, cozy blanket and a good brown liquor cocktail.
Ooh, you talking good stuff. Right? You're talking good stuff.
And I say that to say it's so comfortable, right? And it's just natural.
I thank you for that. I appreciate it very much. I am super excited to have you on the show. And, you know, we were talking just kind of as we were preparing to go live, we were talking about the year of the knot.
Yes, that's what I declared 2025. Honey,
the year of I don't want to. I ain't gonna. Right. I don't want to.
No, full sentence.
Listen, no, I love it. Today, I think I started a little something inadvertently today. I saw a meme with it was a picture of Michelle Obama, and it said, "Nah, I ain't coming." And no, I'm not coming. I don't think it was quite as hood as I put it. But it was in relation to the inauguration. And as we all know, she's not going, and she has not put out this, you know, first lady presidential statement of why she's not coming. There's no memes. There's no tweet X's, nothing. She's just like, will not. Her RSVP was no. And so I posted that, and I just said, you know, this whole sentiment about no being a complete sentence, and how historically I have really had a hard time telling people no. It comes with a lot of guilt. It comes with a lot of what will they think, a lot of second guessing. You know, I should. It's been really hard to say no. And it's a journey that I've been on to learn how to say no and not feel bad about it. And so I was kind of encouraging other people to kind of embark on a similar journey. I talk about this in the book, 7 Dirty Secrets of a Strong Black Woman. If you haven't gotten it yet, I need to get it. But I talk about it in the book, and I also talk about it in the Haven, in the community that I built for Black women. This notion that we can't say no, that our yes is equated to our competence, that being busy and having a full plate reflects our ambition. You know, the extent to which you're ambitious. How many things can you accomplish, even though you yourself are in a emotional, mental, a lot of times saying yes repeatedly without boundaries ends us up in places where we are emotionally, physically, and mentally unwell, right? Consistently pouring from empty vessels, as they say. And so I know that you have a very specific point of view on busyness. And where does the year of not, the year of no, where does that fit in with this, your philosophy about busyness?
Yeah, so there's something that you said that I just can't. I'm gonna answer that question, but I'm gonna answer it by also reflecting on something that you said, which was this idea that our competence is connected to what we say yes to. You know, that idea is what has perpetuated and what has been kind of the cause of busyness.
Yeah.
Because we are equating, if I'm on that short list, if I get the invite, if I have to say yes because, well, they want me, right? They want me, they need me there. And it's always, and here's the other piece that I'm going to say about this, which is the they. Edit that out. You started with them and not you. We as Black women are commonly and consistently indoctrinated into this practice of service, of being of use. And this for us as Black women, and I'm speaking specifically of this demographic, this happens to all leaders, but there's a specific connection to yes in having, a stacked book calendar that's significantly different when you have melanin in your skin and are a woman. And when I talked about breaking up with busyness, the only lens that I could talk about breaking up with busyness from is the one life that I've lived. And there's been one thing I've been.
Right. I have but one experience.
Right. I have but one. I can associate. I can think. I can glean. I can connect with.
Yeah, I've seen what has happened.
I've seen it. Right.
I know what happens over here.
But I know what I know about this experience as a Black woman. And so when I started this conversation around breaking up with busyness, I could only speak about it from the lens of the Black woman who had this unhealthy relationship with booked and busy.
Because we talk so much, booked and busy, booked and busy. Mm-hmm. That was a thing for a really long time. And now all of us booked and busy folks are in our late 40s and 50s, and we're like, listen, I'm tired.
Yes. So enter the year of the not.
Yes.
Right? First, we have to realize that we have a relationship with the optics of being in demand, right? I started the TEDx with you're in demand, but are you in command, right? And if we can just shift from the demand to the command, what then does that do? Mm-hmm. To heal us, to make us more intentional, and thus to make us more impactful. Yeah. And so the year of the not is about, I got this invitation, but I am going to actually consider first, do I have to? Do I want to? Does it align to me? Before we just jump to yes. And then I know I do it. I say yes, I click on the yes on the invite, and then I look at my calendar and I'm like, who did this?
Exactly.
Office manager is looking at me like, you. I know. Right? Everybody else is looking at me, but I need to be looking at me and me first, right?
Right.
What does me being in this space do not for me, but to me, right? Like when we got on, I said a warm blanket and a brown liquor drink.
Yeah.
Really good book, right? And if you come into a space and it doesn't feel like your kitchen table, to borrow Michelle Obama, it doesn't feel like your warm blanket. It doesn't feel like someone you actually want to share, that good pour with. Then why are you there?
Right.
And guess what? Who's accountable for you being there? Is it they or is it? That's the difference between being in demand and being in.
I am right there with you. I'm one of those people. I'm getting better. When you see the invitation, hear the invitation. Hey, I want you to. Hey, can you? Are you available for? Your body tells you right then.
Right.
We don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. We don't have time. You're already overbooked. You're already overwhelmed. You're already full. Your body is telling you that. And quite often we say, I can do it. I'm not, and there are some times where that's necessary. I get, life can't always be, I don't want to. There are sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and do the thing. But there are a lot of things that we have the power to say no to that we don't say no to for fear of how we'll be judged, what people will think of us, our own insecurities, our own, like you said, our own need to be seen as busy and accomplishing and forward moving and innovative and this persona that we are creating. Meanwhile, our body is screaming rest. I don't want to do it.
Yes. And can we get it to two things that you said, which is they're going to be the things that you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want that to be like a thing. Oh, Dr. Rhonda is like, if I don't want to, I don't have to. No, you got to feed your kids.
Like, there's some things
you got to pay your bills. Like,
you got to do, there's certain things. So you know that, right? And you already know how much capacity, that is. And this is really about capacity.
Yeah, it is.
Right? And so
and self-awareness, right?
Yes. And being very self-aware of the capacity to do a certain type of thing. I'm a mom. I can't, there's no days off. It doesn't exist. Right. There are no days off. So I know now that I have to structure my time, what I say yes to around that priority because I chose, right, to be Chase's mom, right? So I gotta do that, right? And so what then are the kind of the opportunity costs? The beauty of the no is that it's not going to create a 25th hour in the day. We all working with the same 24. But if we get in the habit of saying no to some things, we will surprise ourselves at the incremental pieces of capacity for the next thing that I heard you say, which is rest.
Yeah.
And let me talk to you about rest and what I mean when I say rest.
Yes, we're not talking naps.
Not just mean naps. I mean the backing up away from the keeper. The getting up and going and getting the water that your body needs. The ability to have dream capital. What do I mean by that? The concept of the idea that if I'm not so crowded up, thinking about the next thing I got to do for someone else, I could actually process, do I have something ambitious that I want to do, or have I evaluated but I don't want to do?
Yeah.
Can I write out what I think? Do I have space for journaling? These are all places of rest, to take the walk, to do the thing. As a CEO and founder of B Leadership, one of our offerings, which is one of the things that actually I developed from a coaching, I'm a coach who's coached, that said you need an offering that pours into you too. And that offering is the living room. It's a play on words. It's a 15-minute coaching intervention that you buy in a package of a series of 3, 6, what have you. And these 15-minute calls are, we're getting on here and you tell me that you want to talk about the board deck that you want to do or what have you. But when I get on, I can get on this call or we can meet up and I can see some things, right? Like that bowl of salad that looks like it's been sitting there for a minute.
Right.
And I can take 2 seconds of that 15-minute meeting and go, have you eaten today? I can remind yourself of your own humanity and we can connect as humans. Because guess what? That board meeting in an hour, that deck is built. What you gonna say is being said. It is not the board deck. It is about how you feel about you having to be the one to articulate this or what may happen after. So let's take the other 10 minutes of this 15 and just talk about what does it truly mean? Mm-hmm. Who does it really matter to? Okay, so you have to deliver this message, but now we strategically know that we now need to set you up so that what you say and how you say it is in alignment with you and your values. Right. So that when you walk away from here, you're walking away with the confidence that you showed up how you intended to show up. And guess what that sets you up for? It sets you up to not have to worry about cancel culture or anybody trying to catch you out in the streets. You've taken a minute and you've had a minute to humanize and to connect with another human to do that. That's rest.
Yeah, I love that. I believe in the philosophy of saying no to certain things so you can say yes to the things you're really supposed to be doing. One of the things that I implemented years ago, I found myself having these days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day, all day, meeting from the time I got in to the time I left, meetings. And I was like, how am I not getting any work done? It was because I was just meeting and meeting and meeting. And then it got worse when we, started using Zoom and all. This was even before Zoom got super popular. But as we started transitioning into this, doing video calls, it just got worse. And I decided Mondays, there will be no meetings. Mondays are thinking day.
That part.
I read an article, and that this article is what prompted me to do this, that the most successful CEOs have one day where they do nothing but think. They don't have meetings. They might go out and play golf and talk shop, but they're not grinding all of the days of their work week. They take a day where they think about, their plan for the week, the things that they, the ideas. They give themselves time to let those ideas start to grow, and they're not just things clunking around. It helps them to kind of keep their sanity, but it opens up space for them to really look at, what am I managing? What is my goal? Who am I? Who do I want to be this week? What do I want to accomplish this month? What do I, you set the stage to have all of these, all of this structure and organization and alignment.
Yes.
By saying, no, I'm not talking to you guys. And there are very few occasions where I'll allow somebody to set a meeting on a Monday. It's usually like a board meeting, and I don't really have a choice.
Yeah, right.
But if you call and you say, hey, are you free for me to, pick your brain or talk to you? Can I set a coaching appointment? No, you cannot. Not on a Monday. I'm free on Tuesday. I'm not available. And I'll say, oh, you know what? My calendar is completely unavailable on Monday, but certainly you got 4 other days to choose.
Yes.
Right.
And did you feel like you felt like it was betrayal, right? You felt like, ooh, at first, because I got you. I see you and I raise you. My Mondays and my Fridays. If you're scheduled to speak on either one of those days, you are either, everybody's important, but you are super important, like mission critical, or it's so important to me in my values.
Yeah.
That I said,
if you get me on a Friday, I want to be there.
Yeah.
Because Friday is the day either I'm catching up on work, or I'm going to get my nails done, get my toes done. Fridays are like, my flex day. So I'm with you there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you said something about this concept of having a day where you have capacity to process and think. Yes. You also said another thing, which is one of the 3 kind of tenets of our work at leadership, wellness, and belonging. What that means, right? And we do this all under the framework of ethos-driven leadership, ethos being where your values and your characters intersect. This concept of wellness is bigger than, do I or do I not have a cold?
Yeah. Are you taking the right vitamins?
Right? This concept of wellness is, do you have space to think and process? It's very unhealthy to just constantly be in reaction.
Yeah.
Right? Do you have a group or a set or a person that can provide perspective, right? Because if you are said C-suite or executive leader, guess what? Nobody's asked you how you're doing.
Oh, no.
Nobody's asked you what they can do for you unless it's tied to something
that they want. Yeah, for sure.
And so we need to create these spaces as leaders to humanize leadership and to evaluate. Another piece of what you said is kind of what, like when we say alignment, what does that mean? So many of us ascend to these roles and we get the gig, right? And then we get there, we get the gig, we get the money, we get all the things. And then we get there and go, this doesn't work. I don't wanna.
Yeah. This doesn't feel good. Yeah.
Right.
But then don't we get caught up in the prestige of it all, the big money of it all, I'm here. I should love this. I've been working for 20 years, however many years to get here. I should be happy. Don't we
get caught up in it, and everybody else around us does.
Right.
No, my parents, my mother is with the rest, my father is still here. They're in their 80s. So I know good, and I'm the youngest of 7, and they're young. We right on 50. And so that conversation of that good job.
Yeah.
You get that good job And how dare you making this money? And it's not just that generation, your significant other, what your children's lifestyle would be. It might not even be spoken, right?
Yeah.
If you everybody auntie, because I wasn't a mom until I was 38 years old, so I was super auntie. That thing that we tell ourselves, this means that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There is a significant amount of fear. I think, as we're kind of going down this road in this conversation, I don't think I'd really thought about it, but some of this need to be busy is driven out of a fear of, if I'm not busy, then I'm not achieving. I'm not making money. If I'm not making money, then all of this other stuff can't really happen. Or I can't live this life that I want to live. We're all trying to get the rich auntie status. So I'm kind of reversed. My daughter is older and she's moved out. So I get to be fun auntie to the young ones, right? So we, this whole rich auntie lifestyle, the soft life. Now we're trying to pursue that now, but we have so many of us are tied to, I got to keep grinding and working because I'm afraid that if I say, you know what, this doesn't serve me and I want to make a pivot, I want to make a change, I want to do something different, that means that we could potentially lose all of that. And I didn't think about it really being fear driven until you said that just now.
Oh, yes. There's one of our theories that we work specifically with leaders of color through is the valued paradox. Right? And the valued paradox, as we've coined it and as we've developed it, is this evaluation of the concept of so many people have heard, imposter syndrome, right? And have kind of centered that that's what the thing is. Listen, I give you about half a coaching conversation to talk about this imposter idea, especially when we are of color and in our leadership. And I will tell you why. The valued paradox takes us through the journey of the origin of us, if you want to say BIPOC, Black, people of color, and others that have been taken from a space to come here and were only brought here to work, the colonized, and the association of colonization through the generations. We have modernized colonization and attached it to a job.
Yeah.
Because my first thing here was, I'm only here to work and produce babies. And then after that, the male representation of my identity was allowed to become a portion of a person. It took us much longer, right? 2/3 of a man. Then men were granted the rights to vote and do other things and own property. And there's so many ands that come with that. We talked about the voting, but we don't talk about all the other things that are associated with that. Then white women were introduced. Then other women. And so when that is your legacy, I'm sorry, dear heart, beloved, as Toni Morrison on this January, in this moment, I have to separate and give you another option. There is no imposter in you when you have done all the things. In Maya Angelou's inaugurational speech that she did for Clinton, she said, you have been paid for. And when I first heard that, right, I said, I don't agree with this idea of like this. I didn't agree because I know our history. It felt so paid for, but then I had to look and examine that through all of these things, right? She talks about the native. She talks about the Black slave. She talks about all the different identities that have been paid for. We have done more and been valued less.
Yeah.
For what we've done. There's no imposter in that.
Right.
This is a lack of value that society has had. And not that this paradox then tells you that by knowing this, it changes that idea. But the simple knowing of the fact that there is no imposter in you, that you had to do more, you've accomplished more. You were a wet nurse to there for yourself and everybody else. That shifts something in you that allows for you to know there is nothing that I've ever pretended to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think imposter syndrome, not that I don't think that is a real thing. I do believe it is a real thing, but I think part of our issue is our many years of being in spaces where we actually were not wanted and actually were not valued. So it's not that you're an imposter. No, you were made to feel like an outsider.
Yes.
That's the thing. And so now you're trying to feel like I belong and I should be here.
Yep.
But traditionally, the room has said we don't want you. So now, I can't think of her name right now, but there's a woman who did a lot of work on imposter syndrome. And I think in other cultures, that might be the root thing. For us, I think the root thing that has caused us to feel the same way and attach this title to it is this sense of you just were made to feel like you don't belong. You have you weren't accepted. You're not an imposter.
Yes.
As you said, right? You're more qualified, the most qualified demographic, most educated, fastest rising entrepreneurs in the country, all of that stuff. You belong in every room God put your feet in.
Yes.
But what has traditionally happened is that when you got into those rooms, when you stood up to go, and I'm here because I belong, they went, no, you're Black, you don't.
Yes.
You want the white guy. No, we don't want you here.
Yep. And you took a minute to process that. And so I think it's really, really, I love this kind of thought of it could be an imposter syndrome, but ours is different than yours.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Because yours is based off of the fact that, and not all of yours, but a lot of yours is based off of the fact that, and there are statistics that say that white men are potentially promoted more so off of potential than what they've produced, right?
And I've read that.
And so when it comes to that, imposter syndrome comes with that baggage of, well, I know I ain't done this yet, right? Because I'm over here because of potential. I might be able to, and somebody said, that's a different kind of feeling. We don't often experience that. The imposter that we are battling with is, will you accept that it came in this package?
Yeah. Wow. Yes. Yes. Can you accept that all of this great came into that? And to be actively still in 2025, knowing that if I change my picture on LinkedIn from a Black woman to nothing at all or to a white person, I'm going to get more calls. I'm going to get more people reaching out to me for jobs and opportunities today. So we're still being inundated with that messaging as post-racial and all of this stuff people want us to believe we are. Right. The issue still very much is our imposter syndrome, and our issue, it may have the same name, but its source is very, very different. And I think going back to your idea of breaking up with busyness, we've got to understand how our imposter syndrome, or how our need or desire to belong and be accepted it influences the amount of busyness, the extent to which we are busy. Because if I can be busy and I can show you that I belong, I can show you that I'm good enough, I can show you that I'm worthy.
Yep.
By constantly producing and constantly achieving, I'm reassuring myself, and I'm trying to prove it to you, right?
Yeah. If I can put more on my CV, if I can put more on my, media, whatever it is to prove. And I think there's a word that we're dancing around, but we're not saying, which is whether it be belonging or busyness. There's a covenant that is associated with both. And so when I examined busyness, I examined, yes, I'm in all these spaces and all these things are happening, but I also examined, how did I get here? Who clicked on yes on the invite? Who said yes? Who took it on? Who took the work home and didn't say anything and brought it back? And then I had to hold myself accountable, right, to my relationship with, well, why am I? What's at risk? What will or will not happen? And then I had to take myself through a journey of, once I've done that assessment, because there may be some real kind of effects, quite frankly, right? Like you might not get the next promotion. You may not be able to. Right. That's when the core of it all really came to, what's important to me and what do I value? At the end of the day, if everything poofed away, and it's not when you are in the thick of having to make the biggest life decisions that you should understand what your values
Right.
are. That's
absolutely. Like all of these little trials and
yeah.
tribulations should be helping you to figure that out before
Right.
you get
You
to
should
the
be
big
doing
thing.
all of this. And so this is
Yeah.
our practice brought us to the ethos-driven leadership framework so that you can understand exactly what your ethos is as you work through life.
Yeah.
So that when you do get those invitations, you can say, does it align or no? Am I in agreement? Is it alignment? Yes, no. Right? And there will always be a few of those things that you have to do. That you are,
right.
But at the end of the day, what this does when we start to do this work on our ethos, when we start to evaluate our covenant with our busyness and where we say we belong and even belonging, we look for spaces to say you belong here. When we do this work with our values and we start to do the work with busyness, then we say, do I belong here? So, yes or no. And then we can stop vying for jobs, positions, meetings, platforms that we don't actually truly want.
Yeah.
And then it goes to another level, which is Dr. Rhonda knows when to call Dawn and when not to. There's going to be plenty of stuff that I won't even know has come across her desk that she has thought about and said, maybe Dawn will want to do this. And then she read it and she said, nope, I know Dawn and I know
don't even ask.
It's on a Monday, she ain't coming. Right. It's on a Monday or a Friday, she ain't coming. That's not what she want to do. And that is where we get to the point where no doesn't feel like betrayal, but it feels like we are incoming.
Yeah. And it feels empowering. It feels like I did the right thing for me. Yeah. I love what you said about busyness. And I know we're coming up on time, but I love what you said about busyness, because as I'm hearing you say that, like we choose whether we're busy because we're after a goal.
Yes.
Like, if you're busy because your goal this month is a sales goal or a revenue goal that's 10x what you usually do and you're working hard, that's one level of busyness. But if you're busy because of some external thing, I'm looking for validation, I'm feeling insecure, I can't, and I lack boundaries. Yes. That's, I think, where the covenant comes in. Yes. And you can tell me if I'm right or wrong.
No, you're
the covenant comes
right.
in because when I'm busy, because I want to meet my sales goal or grow my business, I'm in alignment with
that. There's you said.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when you're showing up in those spaces and you're spending that time, it doesn't feel like busy. It feels like productive.
Yes. Feels purposeful.
Purposeful and productive.
Yeah.
And your purpose is not your productivity. That said, when you are at your best in being productive is when you are in alignment because you have an entrepreneurial spirit about it. It's yours. Yeah. It aligns with your skills, your passions, your dreams, even if it's a stretch goal. When you're busy, I'm just putting this out. I'm just putting this out. It's like,
and a lot of times it's at odds with your actual purpose and your goals. Yeah.
Right. Like you're just keeping your faucet on.
Yeah.
At the end of the month because your water bill is so high. Right. And that's where we get tired. That's where we get exhausted. That's where we see burnout, and it affects our mental and physical well-being, and it affects our relationships because when we're showing up, we're present. We're there, but we're not present.
Yeah.
We're in the room, but we're not present.
That is so good. I am so thankful that we have had this chance to connect and do this episode together because, busy, it's such a misunderstood concept, booked and busy, or I'm busy. I gotta stay busy. You gotta keep grinding. You gotta grind. To everything, there's a time and a season. There is a time to grind. There's a time to rest. There's a time to be busy. But I think if you're doing it in the way that you explain it, in alignment with your purpose and your life's vision and your goals, it comes out different. It's not depleting.
Yes.
That busyness is restorative and fulfilling. Absolutely. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Listen, I know you got some stuff you want to share with the listeners. I know you have a community you're building. You got amazing programs. So share a little bit about that with us and let us know how we can stay in touch with you.
Yes, so two ways. You can always find me very active on LinkedIn, Dawn Christain, so you will know it's me, the CEO of Be Leadership. Also, BeLeadership.community, that is our website. Yes, we are a community because that's what we thrive to do, bring community together. And on a monthly basis, we are hosting the Leadership Lounge. So be on the lookout for our next one in February. We have them monthly, but the Leadership Lounge is a curated space for leaders to unpack these types of questions. Yeah. What is my relationship with my leadership? And how is it impacting me, and how am I impacting others? So those three things, find me on LinkedIn, BeLeadership.community, and meet us at the Leadership Lounge. Give yourself that space and that time.
I love that. I love that. That's something, listen, and all the stuff that we're not doing this year, all the no's that we're getting this year, we're going to be saying yes to community. Yes. We're going to be saying yes to self-prioritization. We're going to be saying yes to self-care and rest. Rest. We are saying yes.
Rest.
Yes. Rest. So thank you again, Dawn, for just gracing us with your knowledge and your presence. Thank you. I just appreciate you so much. This has been a great episode.
Thank you for Unperturbed, and thank you for having me. Because
sure thing.
We need this.
Yeah, we need this. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. It's been really great. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Rhonda, and I can't wait to see you again on the next episode of Unperturbed, the podcast. Until next time, take care. Hey, thanks for joining me for another powerful conversation. If that hit home for you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss what's coming next. And definitely share this with a sister friend so she can get in on this too. Now look, don't just stop here. Let's continue the conversation inside The Haven, my private Facebook community where we get even deeper and do the real work of shedding the strong Black woman mindset. This is a safe space I've curated just for us. Head on over to enterthehaven.net to join us today. Now, before you go, drop a comment and let me know what resonated with you the most, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, take care of you first. See you soon.